So in terms of past board experience, like in the current sample, we have about directors on average have served on 4 boards in the past. Okay, this is not their current appointments, but their past appointments. So this is the kind of situation, like you could have a board where directors on average serve only on 1 board. So maybe these are the directors that are actually relatively less experienced. Or you could be looking at a board where directors on average serve on 6, 7, boards. So what's the difference? What is happening when they are more experienced? They have accumulated the knowledge of organizational and institutional processes, again, how to operate in the public domain. And when you have that kind of knowledge, you can give better advice, more sound advice. Variety of things, right? How company goes public, but also how do you compete in that kind of public domain? What kind of governance challenges might arise, and how do you deal with those? And then, of course, having served on all those boards also gives you access to a wide network of public company board members, so that's also very valuable. So overall, this could be a potentially good signal about the ability of the firm. Remember, this is the IPO firm. It is kind of a vulnerable firm. There is an uncertainty. So again, ability to procure information, resources, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the idea in terms of signaling. But what we are interested in isn't just whether this is a valuable thing for the directors. What we are interested in the paper is how does the CEO's expertise on the public board functioning matter? Remember, as I said at the beginning, we are interested in the interactions, not just one or the other. We are also interested in how some of these background attributes might influence the process of CEO and the board working together. So what we argue in the paper is that we are actually expecting, if the CEO is also have a wealth of experience serving on public company boards, we are expecting some positive synergies. Why do we expect positive synergies? We argue that this is going to create shared understanding. That's really an important part of it, because it's the understanding about how public firms operate, how are they governed. And that could be the common ground for communication between the CEO and the board. Actually, we argue that this is especially very important for the CEO's perspective, because when you think about the CEOs, I mean, they have a lot of responsibility, right? But CEOs are going to think like managers, executives. They're not going to think like board members unless they have served on a board. It's very different. So you have a manager hat on. Do you think like a manager, or do you think like a board member? So if you've served on the board, you have asked those questions to the CEO. You have challenged the CEO. If you have experienced that rather than being defensive or trying to manipulate, you expect the questions, you actually try to find ways to work with the board. So that's a very different level of shared understanding. So we argue that CEO can see things both from managerial and governance perspective, and that can lead to convergent expectations. So this can potentially stimulate a two-way information flow, tolerance for multiple points of view, and better mutual trust between the CEO. I've mentioned earlier that can reduce need for impression management, social tactics, so on and so forth, which are very well documented in the literature. You push the CEO to a corner. They have a lot of tools to deal with, but it's not always very functional, kind of a thing. So we are expecting that having this type of expertise on both sides is a good thing. Are there any questions?
Can we read the hypothesis again?
Yes. So the higher the accumulated, again, past experience of the CEO in serving on public company boards, the stronger the effect of accumulated past public company board experience of the directors in reducing IPO underpricing. So we're looking at the signaling story, and if these are productive, if this is a productive combination, then we expect lower underpricing at the time of the IPO.